Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am going outside my comfort zone today and I am going to be doing a tutorial for you, and this is the first time I've talked on camera for a video on my page. And the reason I am doing this is I've had many requests of how to do these water drops. I posted this painting on a few different watercolor Facebook groups that I am a member of, and I was posting it requesting advice and some tips on how to improve my water drops. But instead I got a lot of compliments and a couple to few dozen requests for doing a tutorial. First, I thought I would show you the supplies that I use. This is called the Master's Touch brand, and I get it at the local Hobby Lobby, a craft store. I know a lot of people are against Hobby Lobby and chain craft stores, but I live in a small town area and there's not a whole lot here. So this is 140-pound cold press paper, and then I also am using Persian blue and indigo of the same Master's Touch brand. And I am using zinc white gouache or gouache, I don't know how to say it, so if you can help me with that, that'd be great. And then I am using a number 12 round brush, only to do the background because it's bigger and it will do my background better, quicker, not better, but quicker. But for the actual water drops, I am using a number 5 round and a number 1 liner brush. So let's get started. Alright, what I have already done is put a very light wash of the indigo. Now on top of that light wash of indigo, I'm going to take a little bit darker indigo, and we're going to start by doing just a circle. And the beautiful thing about water drops is you do not have to be perfect. One thing you need to think about before you start with your water drops is, where is your light going to be coming from? I am having my light come from this direction, okay? The top right. So you're going to draw your circle, paint your circle, and fill it in with a little bit of that dark blue just up towards where the light's coming from. That's a little bit counterintuitive because normally we draw the highlights where the light source is coming from. But if you remember, in water, everything gets flipped upside down. So the light source is coming from the top right, but our highlight for the most part is going to be on that bottom left. So I'm going to do a couple more different water drops. This one I'm going to do nice and big because I feel like it. And once again, just do your fill in towards where your light source would be coming from. This is your first step. I know they don't look anything like water drops yet, but bear with me. We will get there. Like with all things watercolor, it is about layering, right? Love the layering. The other day, I was picking up my sons from school, and I pick up one first at one school who's a little bit younger, and then I go to the other school to pick up the other one. We were sitting there in the car, and it had been raining out, and I look up in my skylight, or my moon roof, I don't know, that window at the top of your car. I look up there, and I see all these water drops on that window on the roof of my car. And I say to my son, I said, look up there, isn't that pretty? Because all the water drops, and he's like, yeah. And I said, I think I want to paint that. And that is how I started on this little adventure of trying to paint water drops. Oh, I just realized something. I messed that one up. I was talking and not even paying attention to what I was doing, but that's okay. We will fix it. It will look just fine when all is said and done. No worries. It's one of my favorite sayings. As you can tell, I'm doing a wet on dry technique here. For the background on my other one and this one, for my background I did a wet on wet so that it looked blurred and like your focus, if you're looking out a window and you're focusing on just the water drops, everything behind it becomes blurred and out of focus. So that's why I did the wet on the wet. So next I'm going to get a little bit more indigo, but this time instead of going straight from the paint to the paper, I'm going to dip it in my water and just kind of run it up the sides. And that's going to dilute the paint just a little bit and make it not as dark. Now let's go back down here. And I'm going to take that lighter shade and kind of blend in, starting below and blend up. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. Then get only water. You want to leave the dark circle around it for the most part. Now I took away a little bit of the top, but that's okay because we're going to be going back in with the Persian blue. Remember, we also have that one to use. Going to get a little bit of this off again. Tell a little bit better what I'm doing maybe with the bigger one. Then I'm going to rinse it and dry it off so it's mostly dry brush. I'm going to take away some of that highlight again. Okay, let's keep going with all of these. You can hear the rain falling outside. I live in the Northwest, the United States in the Northwest. And we get a lot of rain in the fall, winter, and spring. And we are just starting into our rainy season. Oops. And I gotta be honest, I really enjoy the rain. I like it when I can put my sweaters back on and my fuzzy socks and scarves and hats and drink my hot cocoa and tea, and it's just warm and cozy. Paint water drops. See, I'm just trying to blend this edge so that it comes down and looks blended in. I want it to be a gradual spherical type of shape. This is the one I messed up on, so I'm really going to work that edge and then go back in with a dry one again. For some reason I'm shaky. Probably because I'm nervous. I've never done this before. Meaning I've never done the video. I've done water drops obviously, but I've never done video where I'm actually teaching as I go. Is get our Persian blue nice and wet. So when I start using on that, oops, just splattered a little bit of Persian blue here and there. I'm going to not mess with those. Okay, oh, sorry. So we're going to clean off our number 5 and get rid of that one. And I'm going to get our number 1 liner. Get a little bit of our Persian blue. I need a scrap paper. Okay. I like to have a piece of scrap paper so that I can kind of see where my water ratio is on my brush, because for example, let me just show you. For example, if I ended up with too much, it would be just a bad line, and then if that happened, I would just keep going until I got a nice fine line that I wanted. But I just try to see where I am and how hard I have to push with the amount of water that I have on my brush at the time. Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to very finely outline this, and I always start like towards the top, because if that's a little bit thicker, that's okay, because at the bottom where that highlight is, you want it to be oh so very thin. Okay? And we just want to get a little bit darker around it, and then you're going to get it wet without the paint on. Just going to play around with it. I'm going to take a little bit more Persian blue here, and I'm going to do like a little bit of a wet on wet dabbing technique. Ah, here we go. That's what I want to see. Okay. Okay. You don't want any lines, so you just have to keep working that water until everything looks blended and there's no like definite lines except for around the edge, of course. This one I did that bottom line a bit too dark, unfortunately. Darn it. And up here, I want to go back. Kind of pull away some of this from the highlighted spot before it dries all the way, because it had bled down, and that will happen. Okay. Because I made this one a little bit too wide for that bottom line, I'm going to just go along it with only water on my brush and pull some pigment away from that line. See, it's good to do tutorials where the painter teaching it makes all kinds of mistakes, and then you can see how the teacher fixes the mistakes, so that when you make mistakes, it's all good. You'll know what to do. I hate watching a video where everything is so perfect, and then you screw up and you're like, wait, what do I do now? I gotta start all over because I have no idea how to fix it. Okay, we are getting there, folks. I really hope you guys can see what I am doing. You can leave a comments. Tell me if you're able to tell what I'm doing and what you would suggest that I do better for my videos, because I really do want to do a good job for everybody. One of my passions is art, but another passion is teaching, and if I'm not teaching good, then what's the point in making the videos? The reason I'm trying to hurry and finish this step is because after this step, we are going to let it dry. It doesn't have to be completely dry. It can be, but it's a perfect like stepping away point. Go get yourself a glass of water, or pick up your kids from school, or just give yourself a little bit of a break, walk around. Remember, you want to go in with a clean water brush and really make sure that there is no definite lines, because you don't want any definite lines. I feel like there might be over here. I do know, as I've been practicing and working more, that I need better brushes. But I've only started watercolor painting in February of this year, and it's October right now, beginning of October. So I haven't been doing it very long, but as I do it more and more, I'm thinking I need to upgrade my supplies. Look at that, a real watercolor, or water drop. Anyway, I need to update my supplies, do some better brushes and higher quality paper. But I'm going to use what I have for now as I practice, continue to practice and perfect, in air quotes, my techniques. I say air quotes because are we ever perfect? Nah. But do we love what we're doing? Does it bring us joy? Absolutely. That is what's important. To me, art is all about my own joy and peace it brings me. Like, it's almost meditative. And also Does it put a smile on other people's faces? Do they like what they see? As much as that shouldn't be important what other people think of your art, personally, I like to bring joy to others as well, so I want to see them appreciate my art and smile when they see it. Okay, I'm messing that one up. Okay, well, I am going to go get my boys from school. And come back to this later. Okay, now that we've let our water droplets dry, we're going to add our highlights. Now keep in mind, the light is coming from this direction, and it's going to shine through the water droplet because it's a sphere and have a nice reflection on the inside that's going to be down here. On the outside, we're going to want a very thin but crisp reflection of whatever the light is. What I like to do, because we're going to be using this titanium white, and you're going to water it down a little bit so it's nice and runny. And I like to take a scrap piece of paper that already has some paint color on it so that you can really see how light and what the width is before you transfer to your actual bubbles. Excuse me. And so coming from this direction, I am going to pretend, and it's good to have all of your bubbles have the exact same reflection. So we're going to do something like that. I'm going to have a big line and two smaller ones. And every time I dip again, I'm going to make sure I like the width of it. This one, because it's a bigger water droplet, the reflections are going to be excuse me, slightly bigger. Okay, I have finished doing the highlights on the outside, and I'm going to start doing the highlights on the inside here. And this one, you don't need to be quite so fine. You can kind of put a good dollop, I don't know how to say it, of white on the inside there. You just want it to be exactly opposite of your highlights, because remember, the light is going through the water droplet and reflecting on the inside of this opposite edge. Okay. You do this, and then while it's still wet, I'm going to go back through and play with it a little bit. So now, rinse off your brush and let it be damp but not too wet, and go through and just kind of pull it out a little. You see how I did that? I don't know how to explain it. You just have a clean brush, have it damp but not too wet, and then you're going to go along the upper edge of it and just kind of pull the paint out. And if you need to rinse off your brush a bit, you can, and go back in and do more. Okay. This one I'm gonna I work it down a little bit too so that I can get down into that edge. That was too wet. You don't want your brush too wet. I don't want that there. Okay. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. My dog is chomping on her food. So you're going to go to each one. Just kind of pull it out. Brings that highlighted piece. And if it's gotten too dry, just work it with your wet brush a bit. The beautiful thing about watercolor is you can just re-wet it, or I don't know, is it called reconstituting it? Just going to work that edge so that it pulls out and blends into the rest of your water droplet a bit. There we go. I like how it went up too high there, so I'm going to bring that back. Just play with it. Watercolor is tricky, but also I feel very forgiving for the most part. Like you can push it around and chase it back and draw it out. Like right here, I'm going to push it back. I don't want that there, so I'm pushing it back. You can't do that with oil and acrylic. Once you put it on the paper, it's there. So that's why, one of the reasons I really do enjoy watercolor. It's very easy to manipulate and work with and forgiving of mistakes. Because I make plenty of those. Okay, so now it's really coming alive. These water droplets. I'm going to rinse off and dry my liner, and I'm going to get out my number 5 round again. So these water droplets are pretty much done. If you were thinking that you were on the inside of a window looking out, because if you're on the inside looking out, you won't see a shadow. Well, not much of one. The next time it's raining, look out your window and look at the water droplets on your window, and you'll notice that there's not a whole lot of shadow. But what we're going to do is we're going to add the shadow, because I feel like the shadow really gives it a dimension. So we're going back to our indigo. We're going to wet our indigo, and we don't want too bright of it, but where the white is coming through, you're going to take your brush and just put a little shadow there. Grab from both edges. So unfortunately, my video cut out when I was finishing up. So I'm going to try to show you what I did here. Where the light comes through the water droplet, you're going to have that sharp reflection where the light is reflecting on the outside of the water droplet. Then imagine the light going through the water, and it is reflecting on the inside of that sphere, that water droplet. It also is shining through the water droplet, and there's going to be a little bit, just a hint of light that's inside that shadow. And I really hope you can see that I just put a tiny bit of white on the outside of the shadow, so that you get that hint of the light going through the water droplet. So this is my finished one for today. I don't know how to do this. My lighting is really bad. I'm sorry. Here we go. So here's my finished water drops for today. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope it made sense and that you are able to make water droplets that you are also happy with. Anyway, happy painting, and thanks for watching. Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. Also, follow me on Facebook at My Art From My Heart. Also, Instagram at myart_from_my heart. Thanks for stopping by.